Hello, and for my concept challenge, I will be discussing the peripheral nervous system, which is figure 38 and 5. So when I first researched the peripheral nervous system, I learned that it involved nerves outside of the brain and spinal cord, which the brain and spinal cord belong to the central nervous system. And then with the peripheral nervous system, it can be referred to as the nerves that provide the limbs, glands, and organ signals and transfer them back to the central nervous system. So over here you have the peripheral nervous system, then it's broken down. So within each of the system you have the autonomic nervous system and then the motor system. So the autonomic nervous system is known as the involuntary nervous system because these nerves are known for regulating our internal organs such as our heart, our lungs, stomach, and intestines. And it's called involuntary because we don't know when we do it. Like, it's not something we voluntarily do. And then with these, the motor system, those are the somatic nervous system. And with that's called the voluntary nervous system because we use this with voluntary movement of our muscles and when we want to move. And so, at first I was a little confused because I couldn't really find motor system. So then I kind of figured it was the somatic nervous system. And then it mainly controls the muscles, so the movement. And while this is involuntary and it controls involuntary things that our body does. And so when researching this part, I also discovered that it was broken up into these three. But for the concept challenge, I only had to define the difference between the symptomatic and then the parasymptomatic. And so with the parasymptomatic, first, that was kind of known as our rest and digestion. So then once we come over here to this part right here, we're able to see like a comparison with the two. And so the parasymptomatic is known as the rest and digestion because these are usually the things that our body does involuntarily while we're in a relaxed state. And so compared to the symptomatic, which is what our body does is when we're facing traumatic or high stress periods. So the symptomatic was known as the kind of fight or flight, and then this one was known as the rest and digest, so like rest and relaxation. So I guess that explains why this one is green, why this one is red, and it also explains why usually when we're scared, our pupils dilate, our heart rate rises, as far as when we're in a very mellow to relaxed state, our heart rate reduces and our pupils constrict and things of that nature. My yoga teacher always said that we want our symptomatic not to overtake our parasympathetic, and I never understood what she was saying until now. So going back to this model, I also had to to establish the difference between afferent and efferent neutrons. And so I learned that afferent were our sensory nerves that receive info and transmit info to the central nervous system. So I guess that explains why these neurons are going into the central nervous system, while the efferent are coming out of the central nervous system, and they are responsible for sending info, and that carries the info from the central nervous system into our muscles and glands. So it makes sense why these two would be the base, because this is receiving the info, this is sending the info that comes in to our muscles and glands. I think that is all that I touched on. Yes, and thank you so much for being patient with us, and I really hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.